Tillandsia are commonly called air plants. They're in the same family as bromeliads. They are mostly epiphytic. They don't need soil to survive. They do have roots and use these to attach themselves to trees, often high up in the canopy. However, some are aerophytes, and these grow in sandy areas. With over 700 species, they vary greatly in colour, foliage, form, size, and yes, care requirements. As we look at a number of species from the Bromeliad Society of Victoria's annual show, we'll talk about what we'll call general Tillandsia care. For some species, more specialised care and growing requirements is required, and this is where joining your local Bromeliad Society is a great source of knowledge. Here we'd like to pause for a moment to explain the two main types of Tillandsia, Xeric and Mesic. The Xeric types are found naturally in areas of low humidity, so desert-type mountain areas. In these areas there's not much tree cover, so they're also exposed to more sun. So in general, drier and with more sun. They also tend to have greyer foliage and more fuzzier foliage than the Mesic types. And the grey foliage reflects some of the sunlight, so they're adapted to these hotter conditions. The fuzzy coverings on the foliage are called trichromes, which are basically tiny hairs on the surface of the leaf, and these help regulate the amount of water or moisture that the leaf can take up. Xeric air plants have roots designed to attach themselves to surfaces, and these roots are said not to take up moisture and nutrients. Some of the really popular Tillandsia species from the Xeric group include Tectorum, Xerographica, Circinata, and Harrisii, and also Caput medusa. Tectorum is the best plant to look at for examples of trichromes. It actually looks fuzzy. Generally, the Xeric types are easier to care for beginners. The Mesic types come from rainforest areas, so more humidity, more rain, and cooler but not cold. They tend to have greener foliage. The Mesic types also tend to have shinier leaves with less trichromes than the Xeric types. They grow naturally in less light and require more frequent watering. And although they cope with more frequent watering, they still need to dry out immediately after watering. The Mesic types also have roots, and today's thought is that these roots are different from the Xeric types and can indeed take up water and nutrients. A few well-known Mesic types include bulbosa, andronea, brachiocaulus, and the popular Tillandsia cyanea. All species can be prone to rot if overwatered or not allowed to dry out after watering. Overwatering in winter months can be a real problem. With watering, the key is to water them regularly, and you can achieve this by misting. If you're going down the path of dunking or soaking your air plants, they need to dry out after watering. Simply shaking the water out is not really good enough. They need to dry out in light sun for 12 hours or so. If they're outdoors, the sun and air movement will naturally do this. Indoors, this is not the case, so dry them outdoors. There is one more group of air plants, and they're called hydric air plants. They grow in or near water. However, these are rarely found for sale, and they are very difficult to grow. In terms of general care, firstly we'll look at light. As a general rule, good morning sun and light afternoon shade. Good airflow is also essential to all species. Airflow helps to prevent fungal disease and rot. Watering is debatable. With watering, the key is to water them regularly, and you can achieve this by misting. Mist spraying twice a week is usually adequate, more often in hot dry periods. You'll read a lot about soaking or dunking your air plants into water. Some recommend dunking, some soaking, and from anywhere from an hour to 24 hours. We do not recommend this technique for beginners, as you can easily cause rot or fungal issues if you don't dry them out properly after soaking. The misting on a regular basis is much closer to what they'd receive in the natural environment. Fertilizer is another debatable point. We do recommend using a liquid fertilizer every 3 to 4 weeks from mid-spring through summer, and you can use this in your misting spray. Mounting air plants. If you can find some rough timber, driftwood or a piece of tree fern, mounting them on this is ideal. The main thing is that the mount should be stable and it should not absorb moisture. Use a non-toxic glue or use wire, preferably plastic coated, not copper wire and not new galvanised wire, as both of these can have detrimental effects on the plants. If the roots can attach to the mount, it will encourage root growth, and in our experience, air plants with a good root system seem to always be healthier and happier. You can also mount them onto cork or any other piece of untreated timber. But remember, no copper wire, no galvanised wire, and avoid using staples or nailing through the stems. In terms of propagation, firstly, most people don't realise that Tillandsia do flower, and they have a large inflorescence which is usually very colourful, maybe pink or yellow, and then lots of small individual flowers. After they flower, they tend to send out 4 or 5 pups or offsets, and then the mother plant dies. Not immediately, but eventually it will. Once the pups get to around 1/3 the size of the mother plant, you can separate them and you'll have a number of new plants. Or you can leave them to grow as a large clump. You will find dead leaves at the bottom of your air plants, low down on the stem, and this is natural as the plant gets older. When they're really dry, you can simply remove them if you wish. And once you start collecting air plants, you'll probably get hooked. And it really is recommended to join your local Bromeliad, or if you're lucky enough to have it, local Tillandsia Society. Here you'll have access to a range of specialised knowledge that suits growing these marvellous plants in your area. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for regular updates on a whole range of bromeliads, succulents and indeed other garden plants. And as always, good luck with your gardening.